Hey, it's Chewbacca and you're watching Robo-Airsoft.
What's up, Airsofters? It's Robo, and I'm back with another Robo-Reviews. And on this week, we're going to take care of the WE Toucan, or Big Bird. Caw-caw, caw-caw, let's get it on! Ah! It's the second of the two sidearms that I use in Airsoft. This is a WE Toucan, or you maybe have heard it called a Big Bird, or maybe have heard it called the M&P9. You know, where they came up with those names other than the N&P9, which I get the relation. Toucan and Big Bird kind of just seem like that we picked out the most random kind of animal name that they could for this weapon. I mean, it doesn't look like a bird. It has no association with birds, neither the Smith & Wesson or the military and police line. So no idea on that one.
Check it out, it's my new gray squirrel. Check it out, it's my new Japanese vine beetle.
But other than the weird kind of name association, you know, it's a really nice, comfortable pistol. I enjoy it for mainly the reason for I mentioned back in my Lone Wolf Timberwolf review, which I'll post the link somewhere down below here, is that the low slide height to where the dovetail, where you can get your hand up on the pistol grip, the ratio of that height keeps it nice and low to the webbing of my hand, which keeps things all nice and aligned as I'm applying my technique. Now, in terms of what WE has done to replicate the M&P line, well, if you're an M&P logo fanatic, you're not going to find one of those here. For copyright purposes, WE has replaced the Smith & Wesson logo with their own, and same with the unique serial number here has a WE marking on it, and a WE marking on it down here. You'll see none of the trades that generally come on the military and police line as well. Now, what you do get is a faithful reproduction, you know, in every other way besides that. You get the rubberized back grips, and there's a couple of those to switch out from. You get the really crappy, at least in my opinion and a lot of other people's opinion, stock S&W trigger on the M&P. You get rail space. You get serrations, you get a metal slide, and a polymer lower. In terms of what you're missing out on that front end slide that's functional is the front end serrations that you popularly see in the Tier 1 line held by people like Kyle Lamb and Chris Costa. So if you're a front serration kind of guy when it comes to charging or racking the slide, be aware under stressful circumstances, under wetness, sweat, you are going to slide on that. I've done it many times. So it's best to maybe go back to a rear fundamental grab on the slide there. Now, you do get ambidextrous controls when it comes to the slide release, but unfortunately, as far as I can tell, you cannot swap the mag release as those two ports are different sizes. So ambi guys, be happy you can drop the slide easily, but not drop your mag. So just be aware of that. So the slide takedown bar in this case is the rotational type, where you have to line up the slide to rotate it down and then you're unlocked, which is different than say a Glock or my Lone Wolf, which has the two bars, which I find really annoying. So I do prefer the rotational. And like my Lone Wolf, what you can see is I've gone ahead and stippled all of the smooth portions of the lower frame that touch my hand, and that is, you know, primarily in the pistol grip itself. Now, obviously, I haven't stippled where the rubberized portion was, and I didn't go ahead and stipple over the pre-textured front section, but I stippled everywhere else. Now, these two front areas, I've gone ahead and stippled as well. Again, that plays into my technique, and that is, it gives me an area to put positive pressure with my thumb on the left-hand side of the frame, and positive pressure when I'm indexing my trigger for trigger control and trigger awareness on the other side. And what I mean by positive pressure, I'm not just putting my finger down. I'm not just putting my thumb down. I'm actually applying pressure. That way, if my hand gets knocked, it doesn't accidentally slip and go into the trigger well. If my hand is on the slide this way and I'm adjusting for recoil, I'm compensating for that recoil, it means that the slide isn't shifting in my thumb. It gives a place to anchor for the thumb. So that's why you'll see me also stipple in those areas. And I'll generally stipple all the way up into the beaver tail or the dovetail of a pistol grip, so that way I have traction on the skin of the webbing that contacts there as well. A nice little feature of the WE Toucan, Big Bird, M&P, M&P9, whatever you want to call it, out of the box is it comes pre-painted with glow-in-the-dark paint for night sights. So these will glow if you expose them to light. Now, it doesn't last for very long, you know, ranges between 10 and 20 minutes, depending on how long you charge it. So it's a nice little touch in terms of, you know, short-term functionality, something to brag about, something to be like, ooh, that's cool for about 30 seconds over. Now again, I pair this with my Inforce APL light, and just like on the Timberwolf, it keeps the contour pretty much rectangular and pretty much the same width as the pistol. I love how this matches up with these two frame shapes to create a geometrically symmetrical object in my hand to use. So I don't catch it on anything, and it keeps everything in line and allowing me to use regular technique around the additional tool on the primary tool I'm using. So how does it perform? I'd say well enough. I mean, you know, it's pretty much on par with any other mid-range to low-end gas blowback pistol. You know, if you get average performance out of it, count it as a good day. You only use your pistol like 2% of the time. So in terms of accuracy, hop, gas consumption, I'd say sure, it doesn't suck. It doesn't also create something I write web articles about either, but it does the job. So that's all fine and good. Let's get to the stuff that sucks about this gun. And there are a couple things that suck about this gun, especially out of the box. Number one, and the only way to fix this one is to change the trigger. The trigger on the M&P9, both on the real weapon and the airsoft replica here, sucks stock. There's just so much take up. Like, realize that before the trigger even, like the actual main proponent of the trigger, because it's got this like special dual stage safety portion here, that I'm actually engaging the safety the entire time before it engages the actual trigger. So there's this huge dead space of trigger movement that actually doesn't correspond to your take-up room towards the back of the breaking point. So if I were to rack this, just there's no mag in here, just so you know, this does nothing. Then I hit the wall and then it breaks, right? So there's a lot of movement in that trigger to get the gun to actually cycle. So this is a common complaint with real users in the real world, and especially with airsoft users where the trigger is even worse than the real one. So a lot of guys will fix this with the Salient Arm straight trigger mod or addition, or again, guys will go inside and change the actual spring length, so the actual travel distance. But again, I don't have the care in the world to do that right now. I might replace it and make it more of a straight trigger like my Timberwolf. But again, that'll come when I use pistols a little bit more, and I just haven't really spent a lot of money on mine. And that brings us to the other two problems, and I consider these almost absolutely fatal, and they're right out of the box. Now, I can only attest, I will say, I'll admit this, that this is not the newest generation of M&P9s by WE. If you have an M&P9 that doesn't have a blue inner barrel, you might have what I have. So if you've got one with the blue inner barrel, you might not deal with this. But in speaking of this generation, there are two fatal flaws that this gun comes with right off the manufacturing line, out of the box, and in your sweet, cool-ass hands. And both of these, my friends, are internal. The very first one, and this one seems like a no-brainer. Inside the hop-up unit, essentially, there's a hop-up arm, and as you twist the wheel, the hop-up arm kind of rotates and pushes down on the hop-up rubber to increase or decrease hop. Problem is, some smart guy at WE manufactured that arm just a little bit too long, so it actually gets jammed inside there. Opening up the box, taking out this gun, you cannot adjust the hop-up. You have to go in there, take apart the hop-up, pull out that arm, and file it down to a shorter length so it actually can move as it was engineered to. So you got to be aware of that. That one's kind of like a no-brainer to me, but whatever. It's reality. Deal with it. It's a quick fix. But WE, what were you doing? This last one is a doozy. Now, for the average airsoft player, you might view this as an inconvenience. I did it first until I came across a safety problem when it comes to this. So whether you know a lot about teching airsoft pistols or how real pistols work, there's a component back here in the trigger, the hammer assembly, called a sear. And the sear essentially, as the slides racking back and forth, resets some things in there. Again, I won't go into detail. Now, It's really important that this sear is crafted in a certain shape and fashion so it can catch on things that are moving and operate in a normal fashion. Problem with this WE M&P9 out of the box is that it wasn't manufactured with the right dimensions and the right shape to do its job efficiently. There's an angle on this thing that you actually have to file to a more harsh angle to allow it to reset the trigger properly each time you pull the trigger and fire and rack the slide. If you do not do that, meaning if you pull this out of the box and try to use this, 9 times out of 10, what'll happen is that as the slide racks, the sear slips, the gun enters full auto, and it dumps the entire mag of gas until you have no ammunition, until you have no gas. Now, that's shocking to a person the first time that happens, and it's kind of funny, ha 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 ha, as long as it doesn't go into your best friend's neck from 3 feet away, but it gets worse. As time goes on, I found that another problem arose, is that not only did it slip in that mode, upon putting a new magazine into the weapon actually started cycling automatically. No trigger was depressed. It was magazine in, full auto mag dump, ammo out. That's a huge safety concern. I mean, again, all cool looking airsoft things aside, if some little tiny manufacturing flaw creates a situation where one of these can go off in a situation where it wasn't expected or wasn't warranted, you're looking at somebody not having the proper safety equipment to take a shot if they're surprised by one, and 2, you're entering a situation where you can, overshoot somebody or shoot somebody who maybe is wearing safety equipment but doesn't want to get shot in the face in the safe area, kind of thing. So that's something to be really aware of, that you got to fix that to even make the gun really all that functional, but at the same time, that's a real safety concern. So again, what were you thinking? Again, you might have already fixed this in the one with the blue, the new generation with the blue inner barrel. I've got the gold copper inner barrel, so I just know it was a problem. If it's fixed, it's fixed. But those owners who have this or pick one of these up, just be aware of that. But with all that said, it's still a sexy piece to have. Again, I like the dimensions of the proportions to slide height to the frame and where my hand can get on there. The M&P9 has been made famous over the last few years with some high-profile people carrying them. They are nice pieces in the real world. So, if you're interested in the M&P9, you want to upgrade it to be like a Psy or a Tier 1, go ahead. There's lots of aftermarket parts out there. Got a friend who just redid his. It looks really super sexy. But again, you just got to be aware of the problems this thing is going to have coming out of the box, which really surprised me, no matter how easy they are to fix. So there you have it. It shoots pretty well. It's an average gun. As long as you're aware of the problems, they're easy fix. If you like the S&W M&P9 line, pick it up if you're interested. If you don't, then it's definitely a gun you can pass over without losing out on the world. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's review of my WE Big Bird Toucan M&P9 or M&P-Clone. As I said, it's sort of an average pistol by most gas blowback pistol standards, so I mostly have it out of the interest of the real world model itself. So what's coming up next? I got a couple more reviews for you. First and foremost is my T.rex Arms Mars kydex mag holders, as well as my platatac hairy hard jacket. Now I do have a couple items in the mail coming to me soon, and I will be reviewing those. You're gonna wanna check them out. A little hint, one of them's a new pair of Salomon boots. As always, guys, thank you so much for stopping by to hang out and checking out my content. I really do appreciate it. If you can do me a huge solid before you take off, like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. It keeps me happy in this YouTube game. And of course, until next time, guys, keep having fun playing Airsoft, being good community members, and defend what you love. Later, guys.